Please remain standing as Billy Malden of Motor Racing Outreach offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. Gracious God and Heavenly Father, as we rise once again in recognition of your sovereignty in our lives, Father, we just want to give thanks for the opportunities that we have, that the freedom that we enjoy today to be here, to do as we desire. Father, it comes with a sacrifice. So we lift up the men and women of our armed forces, both at home and abroad, as well as the folks that watch over us daily. I ask you to keep them safe, Father. Lord, we pray for these drivers, teams, officials. Safe day of racing for everyone, Lord. Great day for all of us as we spectate and watch this event. And may your peace and your presence surround us all. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Here to honor America, please welcome United States Marine Corps veteran Melissa Myers, accompanied by Carlene Miller from the Scranton School for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Children as they perform our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is busy on pit road. It's going to be busy on the track in just a few minutes. 4 or 5 wide. Expect it here today. It's all coming up right here on FS1.
It's time to figure who won today's vote, which Xfinity Series regular has the best chance of winning today. The votes have been tallied, the results are in, and it's Ryan Truex with 35% of the votes counted. And Monica Palumbo is right there with Ryan Truex.
FS1 welcomes you to Pocono Raceway for Xfinity Series action. It's 74 degrees. There's no moisture in the air right now. And let's join the men who will call today's race, Adam Alexander, Michael Waltrip, and today's guest driver analyst, Jamie McMurray. Hey, guys.
Shannon, you said it. The key is no rain, and we're excited about that. We just need a couple of more hours of dry air, and we'll be just fine. Jamie, it's great to have you with us here in the TV booth. So what's more nerve-wracking, 200 miles per hour into turn one or doing television with Michael Waltrip? They about the same?
It's pretty comparable, but this is actually really fun for me. I got to do this a couple of years ago, I think, with you guys, and I was super appreciative that you asked me to come back.
We know this is a very difficult racetrack for any driver. What is the biggest challenge they're going to face out there today?
I think it's the fact that all three corners are different. Turn one has a little bit of banking, but turn two is super rough. It's actually hard to see as you go through that corner. Then you get to turn three, and it's very flat and it's fast, and you have to carry a lot of speed onto the front stretch. So this is one of the more challenging tracks we have.
And, you know, Jamie, I'm going to say something. I couldn't believe when I was talking earlier today, wide open through the tunnel turn.
Can't imagine.
That's what these guys are going to be faced with. And the challenge of that, Adam, is monumentous. I mean, to be able to get through there and not hit something without letting off the gas, it confuses me how they're going to do it all day long. You talked about not being able to see because of the bumps and the bounces. Couple that with the type of speed they're going to be running through there, we could see a lot of action.
And momentum going to be big as well. Where do you need to be good if you're going to have the best lap here?
Well, I think it's different with this package. I think you're going to see something similar to what we have at plate races where someone pulls out a line to make a pass. If you don't complete the pass, you might go back 4 or 5 spots. So every one of these straightaways is going to be really important.
And give me restarts all day long because this place is flat entertaining when the green flag goes in the air. We'll go green momentarily. First, let's go trackside and get the command of Fire Engines live on FS1.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, General Manager of J.P. Mascaro & Sons, Brian Rosar.
Drivers, start your engines! The engines have fired. The NASCAR Xfinity Series set to go racing in the Poconos for the 3rd time. And on the pole, Cole Custer. He gets it started next.
It is the most unique track in the world. There's nowhere more fun to drive.
One of the toughest tracks on the NASCAR circuit.
Indestructible, fire in your bones. Nothing can touch you. Why you gotta be so indestructible?
It's not an oval. It's not a road course. It is a triangle.
Not all the time does the fastest car win.
This week it's all about the tricky triangle.
There is nothing like it on this earth.
You're my blood rush, just
Time for the 12th race in 2018 for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. We are live in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, and Pocono Raceway. Rolling off 11th today. Driver 21, Daniel Hemrick. Let's go from the driver's seat.
Hey, Daniel Hemrick. This is Jamie McMurray up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me?
Yes, sir. I got you, Jamie.
So I was just out there in happy hour, and the track changed a lot from full sun to overcast. And just looking at the sky, it looks like you're going to have a lot of that today. Do you think the track's going to be the biggest challenge, or do you feel like this package that that NASCAR's brought this weekend is going to be a bigger one for you?
Really, I think it's made a little bit of both. Obviously, the racetrack does change a lot with that overcast, but probably not going to change as much as what we're used to with this package, considering the all-throttle time we have with this package. So it's going to be interesting to see how the South Point Hotel Casino Chevrolet is, but Danny Stockman's 21 group says they got me tuned up to move forward here. So hopefully that's the case, and we can move forward all day.
All right, man. I appreciate you answering my question and wearing the visor cam today. And I know a little bit about your crew chief. I raced some RC cars with him. He's a good guy. So good luck today. We'll be cheering for you.
Yeah, same for it, man. Thank you.
Looking for his first career victory today, Daniel Hemrick, just outside the top 10. Let's go to Regan's Wrap and say good afternoon to Regan Smith. What do you have for us, Regan?
Well, Adam, as we mentioned earlier in the show, we are in the former honeymoon capital of the world. So I've got roses, but you know what? It is anything but honeymoon season for these race teams. We are now 12 races into this season. We're getting down to crunch time. The playoffs are just around the corner. These guys need to start building some momentum. One of those teams that needs to build momentum, the 16 of Ryan Reed, with only one top 10 finish in the last 9 races. If they are going to make a playoff push and have an opportunity to drink some champagne at the end of the year, they've got to get some momentum starting today. Matt Yoakum?
Now, there's no question that Megan Smith will be receiving presents from Pocono, but I can't confirm that or not. Maybe a little bling-bling in the backpack when Regan gets home. There are a lot of questions about this package, though, today. Guys like Tyler Reddick, he's making his first Xfinity start here at Pocono, did finish 3rd in the truck, but unlike at Indy, where they could flat-foot it lap after lap, here they've got to get out of the throttle, feather that gas, and so they're going to be learning as we go. And one other factor we're going to have to keep in the back of our mind today, pit strategy. For more on that, here's the RCR boys.
Qualifying didn't go quite as planned. Got a little bit free down in turn 1, but Nick Harris and all the guys on the team, they got a pretty good race car for us, and we look forward to the race.
The biggest thing I've seen so far is just trying to use this package. You need another car to go past somebody, so we'll see what happens there and try to make our way up to the front, and hope you guys enjoy the show.
Back at Pocono, and we said it earlier, this is the most unique venue on the circuit. Let's take a little tour through turns 1, 2, and down to 3. They're all different.
Yeah, they are. You know, turn 1 is so fast. You get into that corner, it's very easy to overdrive. A couple of small bumps, you know, through the middle, and then as you exit turn 1, the wall seems to creep up on you really quick.
Strategy going to be big today, so let's hear from some crew chiefs before we go green. Start with Regan Smith.
Well, Mike Shiplett had the near-perfect strategy last year, putting your car out front at the end of the race. What do you do today to do that same thing?
The best thing is just keep the Chevrolet accessories, Chevy Camaro out front all day. There's different pit strategies we can do to try to get the best track position we can at the end of the race.
Great, thanks, Mike. Matt?
And up in the Stadler pit, you could pretty much spin the wheel as far as the various numbers of pit strategies. So do you stay disciplined and just stick with one game plan, or is this going to be a day of audible after audible?
I think you have to call some audibles. I think there's a lot of unknowns with this package. How much fall off there's going to be, how important tires are, how important track position is. But hopefully the one main financial Chevy's fast and it makes it easier. It gives you a little more opportunities, and hopefully we'll be up front at the end.
Good luck. Adam?
Thank you, Matt. And I hope America's crew chief, Larry McReynolds, is ready with all these strategies we're going to throw at him today. Ryan Truex on the front row for the start.
Also, we save it. Last stage, I'm going to try, if it goes green, I'm going to try to do it all the way. From the start of that deal, we start saving.
It's already underway. The strategy's playing out. We haven't even picked up the green flag yet.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that everyone does here is you push the clutch in, you shut the engine off, and you save as much fuel as you can from the beginning, because there'll be a time when they probably don't want to put tires on, but they need fuel, and it's just less time on pit road as you're putting gas in.
And Jamie, what do you think about the decision by Cole Custer to take that outside lane as we're coming toward the green flag?
I mean, that's the lane that I would choose. The outside always seems to have the advantage if you can pin the guy to the bottom, and you know, you don't know what the guy in third is going to do. If he makes it 3 wide, then you've definitely made the good decision.
What about the guy in fourth right behind him, Kyle Busch?
We know what he's going to do.
He's probably a good guy to have behind you right here. It looks like he's already got onto the back bumper of Cole, and they're going to kind of tandem down to turn 1.
We're underway at Pocono.
That's one of the greatest sights in racing, I think, when you see down the front stretch of Pocono on a restart.
5, 6, 7 wide, and they funnel down into turn 1.
Nice job by Cole Custer to take that push from Kyle Busch and be able to drive out in front of this field.
There goes Busch in that outside lane. Truex in that purple 11, just behind him, the 12 of Austin Cindric.
This is what I'm worried about. Is that 3 wide heading toward the tunnel?
Oh, on board with Paul Menard there.
Say what, they did a good job. I didn't think that we'd make it through the tunnel turn without having somebody get into the wall.
Those Gibbs cars working together. There's Kyle Busch around Truex, just behind him. Christopher Bell, also the 19 of Brandon Jones.
You know, the one thing I watched qualifying, and I was shocked at how far off Kyle Busch was in turn 1, but then how much ground he was making up in the tunnel in turn 3 where those guys were almost running wide open, and he looked like he had the best car in practice yesterday when I watched.
He definitely did, but I'm telling you, Jamie, I watched Cole Custer. Kyle drove away from him early in the practice, and they went in and worked on their car, and they were able to match lap times with Kyle. So we know how fast this 00 car is starting on the front row, but there's going to be a lot of company coming, including those Gibbs cars you talked about, Adam.
Brandon Jones trying to get to fourth, working over his teammate. They're side by side, and that is the tunnel turn. Always anxious times here. Austin Cindric just behind, and there's your teammate, 42 of John Hunter Nemechek.
Yeah, John Hunter's done such a good job every time he's been in this car. Not only at the track. Oh, there's Kyle getting to the double zeros outside. That's a pretty brave move to go to the outside of turn 3 right there, especially with as much speed as those guys are carrying. But John Hunter's done an awesome job in that car, and not just at the track, but all the work that he puts in throughout the week with the pit crew at the shop and all of his training. He's just doing everything right.
Yeah, he's like you. He's one of those extreme athlete type guys doing marathons and triathlons and heck, riding his bicycle 100 miles.
He's in really good shape for sure.
Look at
It
this
wouldn't
battle.
be long. Kyle Busch looked like he almost got to the back end of Custer into one, loosened him up, down to the inside. He makes the pass as we head to turn 2. Going to bring Ryan Truex with him, it appears.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Kyle can hold on to the lead, because I think with the rules that we've got this weekend, the leader's at a little bit of a deficit. And now, oh, that was brave.
Yeah, there was no contact down into 1, but he got up behind him
really
enough
tight.
that he upset the handling of that double zero. And Michael, now we see how important momentum is here.
Yeah, and watch the gap when we come onto the front straightaway that Kyle Busch has created because of this side-by-side battling. Kyle's looking in his mirror and liking what he's seeing. This is great racing, though.
Yeah, Christopher Bell pulled down to help the 19, which is his teammate. It looks like it's going to pay off for him right there.
Such a great year for Brandon Jones in that 19, up to 2nd. Bell right there for 3rd, already a win for him in the 20. His rookie campaign has been outstanding, and he's without his crew chief this weekend. They had some penalties following last weekend's race at Charlotte. Jason Ratcliffe with a 1-race suspension.
Yeah, Brandon has improved so much this year. He had good speed last year, but seemed like he got caught up in wrecks or had things go wrong, and this year he's had that good speed and been able to put the finishes together with it. That change where I think it was he and Matt Tifft maybe that traded cars, and it seems like it worked out better for both of them.
Well, and you say that, and you saw the battle that was behind Brandon Jones with Custer and Truex and the boys, and it allowed Brandon to break away from that 3rd place battle. So a lot of speed up toward the front, but I tell you, there's going to be a lot of guys from the back that are going to make their way up, like Daniel Hemrick, who we talked to in the pre-race.
Well, look who's to his outside. Ross Chastain made the final round of qualifying earlier and has gone from 12th to 9th early in this race. 4-car, really showing some speed.
Ross Chastain, that team does more with less than anyone else. It's amazing to me how fast that car is every single week and what a good job Ross does. He did a really good job in the Cup car at Charlotte. I don't remember where he qualified, but I think he made it to the 2nd round. He's just done an awesome job in everything he's been in. That's been super impressive to watch him.
And isn't it cool for a veteran like you to see a kid like that come along with maybe not the best equipment and understand?
You're making me feel old. Stop.
Understand what it takes to get someone like your attention?
Good racing here. Chase Elliott trying to find his way to the front in the 23, and Shane Lee down to his inside. Driving for Richard Childress Racing this weekend. Behind him, rookie Chase Briscoe in the 60.
Lee's another young kid that has shown up and impressed us. Jamie, his choice of races kind of confused us. What did he do? Bristol, Talladega, Pocono?
I'm going to say those weren't choices. I would say those are what we're left.
You think you got to sign those 3 races?
I would say that's the ones that all the other drivers are like, I'm good.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, at Bristol, it didn't take him long to get our attention, and it's been just like that every time he gets behind the wheel of that beautiful number 3 car.
Looking at the top 10, there's 4 rookies in the top 10 right now, which is impressive when you consider how difficult this racetrack can be. Now, having said that, we've got a lot of talent in this rookie class. One of them right here, Bell in the 20s, trying to get around his teammate Brandon Jones. Joe Gibbs Racing 1, 2, 3 right now. Strong early.
Yeah, it seems like anytime you have a rules change, there's always an organization that figures it out before everyone else. I think the junior motorsports cars at Indy, or the Penske cars maybe at Indy the last time we ran this, were really good. And practice, the Gibbs cars are 1, 2, 3, and are running 1, 2, 3 right now. So they clearly have got a really good package for here.
You can see the big push on the outside. Around Chase Briscoe goes Chase Elliott. A couple of chases, chasing Shane Lee there in that black Childress Vineyards car. And this is a car I want to watch all day long. You talked about the junior motorsports cars. The blue one on the inside, that's Justin Allgaier. Didn't qualify very well, and we feel like he's going to be a guy that can contend for this victory.
Yeah.
be interesting to see how fast he's able to get to the front.
Yeah, I'd like to see if we eventually get some in-car camera to see if there's any shifting going on. Like the Cup cars shift here, and I think they have the option to do it. It's a little harder, but I would say the pace will have to slow down a little bit before those guys can do that.
Well, everybody in the garage area says if it's shiftable,
the 7 is the guy, right? Yeah.
That'll be your guy.
Yeah.
So we'll keep, maybe we'll get our spotters to keep an ear out and see if they can hear anything going on there.
And look who's running this pack, 61 of Kaz Gralla. First opportunity for that organization last weekend at Charlotte. Fury race cars qualified on speed as he had to do, finished inside the top 10. The 19-year-old from Boston doing some real good things early here at Pocono. 61 right now, 17th, but hanging with some pretty good cars.
Yeah, the main problem he had both weeks was Mother Nature. He was afraid he would never get the chance to race because of the weather forecast, but we got qualifying in, and man, he's been impressive.
Sadler to 6th, then that one car around John Hunter Nemechek, veteran out of Virginia, came in leading the championship. The model of consistency. He hadn't won in a long time, but he's always there, Jamie.
Man, Elliott is just that guy that, and even the 3 races that I ran earlier this year, if at the beginning of the race he wasn't very good, you'd look up at the end of the first stage, at the end of the second stage, he's always progressing, moving forward on the race. He's such a smart racer, and he does a good job of getting his car better throughout the race. That team does a really good job, and just every week he's there.
Cole Custer started on the pole sliding a bit early, Matt.
Reporting in the 00, super tight. Veteran spotter Timmy Fidoa atop the press box, a little under the weather, but still concise and clear and giving great advice, especially off turn 1. He says that's where you're starting to lose a little bit of time, but you are looking great through the tunnel turn.
Well, he went from 1st to 4th, and now coming back to the front, breaking up that Joe Gibbs 1-2-3 as he slides by Brandon Jones, and Austin Cindric is there in the 12 car as well. Well, what do you think here? I mean, these stages are 25 laps and 25 laps in 1 and 2. Then a 50-lap run to the checkers. Prefer to be good on the long run, or do you have to prepare for the short haul? Where do you want to be, guys?
Well, I didn't think the restart looked quite as crazy as I expected. That will get more intense as the race goes on. But man, this is one of those places you need to be good on the restarts, but you also have to be good on the longer run because you know you're going to get some long runs here.
Kyle Busch starting to pull away a bit. His advantage over second place Christopher Bell, just over 3 seconds. You start looking at all of that, how your car's running position could change your strategy for the day. On board with Paul Menard. This team won last weekend at Charlotte with Brad Keselowski. Menard is 12th right now. Out front, another Cup veteran. The all-time wins leader in the Xfinity Series is Kyle Busch.
New aero package that we saw at the All-Star race. Practice was interesting. It's going to be a fun one. Make sure you tune in.
Looking forward to the race today. Got a pretty good car in the Xfinity race. I think our Mustang is pretty good. It's been crazy getting used to the new aero package, but I think we're getting really good at adapting to it.
Qualified P3. I think we can race from there. Hopefully dice it up with the big boys, have fun.
You know, Xfinity teams debuted this setup at Indianapolis last July. I guess it does allow you to get aggressive on board with Paul Menard. Little shot from Justin Allgaier here.
That was a good one.
I told you I wanted to watch this 7 car as he raced from the middle of the pack toward the front, and he's aggressive right now. That's fun.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, he's probably being a little more aggressive there because when you start pushing the car in front of you, you want to push them fast enough that you can clear the car as well and not get stalled out. So I think he was probably just making sure that he could clear as well.
Go ahead, Michael.
This is a battle for him to get inside the top 10, and I'd say they'd call this first stage a success if they're able to accomplish that. Start getting in a position to think about winning this race.
Well, we're just past halfway in this first stage of the race, and we know strategy going to be key. When do we expect someone to pit under green, if at all, prior to the end of the stage, Larry?
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm seeing a couple of things, Adam. Is one, the pace is not slowed down that much. And to make a green flag pit stop here for 4 tires and still stay on the lead lap, you need to be somewhere around 12 to 13 seconds within the leader, which right now, that would only be about the top 13 or 14. You could pit right now with 36 laps to go before the end of stage 2 and make it. I just think, like we talked in the pre-race, if you just sit there and follow Kyle Busch, that's what you're going to do all day long. If I'm back there just inside the top 10, I'm thinking about pitting before the stage ends and trying to get that track position.
And who's in that category? 2 guys that run on Sunday, maybe not as worried about points today as others. Chase Elliott, Paul Menard right now, 9th and 10th. Look at Austin Cindric shooting to the inside of Elliott Sadler. That's for 4th.
A little bit of lap traffic there. When you have rules like they have with the limited power and the big spoiler on the back, lap traffic can be a real hindrance to you keeping your momentum.
Yeah, for sure. And like thinking back to this pit strategy, this is for a driver, it's one of the most confusing places because guys will pit 20 laps apart, and you're on the track and you're like, are we pitting anytime soon? And they're like, no, we're going for, you know, X amount of laps. So there's just so many different strategies that you can have.
Saw Cindric 4th, Sadler 5th, Brandon Jones in the 6th position, Regan.
Well, Brandon just updated his team. As we see, he's in 6th. He started 6th, moved forward early on in the race, but he updated his team that he's too tight in turns 1 and 2. Turn 3, he was very descriptive about how tight he was. As soon as the car compresses into the corner, the nose takes off and goes straight. So they're going to need some adjustments on that race car, Adam.
We'll keep an eye on Brandon Jones.
Listen to him work the throttle. Paul Menard trying to get that run on Ryan Truex, just couldn't quite make it work. That lap car on the outside made that a little bit interesting getting into 3.
Yeah, I was curious to see how much the draft works here, but it doesn't look like he's getting as big of a toe as what we expected.
And I think that's what a lot of the drivers after practice said. Yeah, we can pull up, but we don't get the run that we thought we would get. And I think that's probably because of letting off the gas in the corner.
For sure.
Handling's more important.
Yep, for sure. I mean, you could hear how much that little bit that Paul Menard was out didn't sound like much, but inside of the car, I mean, that kills all your momentum. And I think the other thing is that in order to get that run on the guy, you got to be so close to him, and that's why everyone's complaining about being tight. Because from what I heard in the 9's getting a little aggressive.
Imagine that.
Shocking. From what I heard in practice is that the guys just continued to free their cars up. Like they came here, and it's just been constantly trying to get the car to turn better.
Is there an upper groove in 3? I mean, I know
there is a groove.
I know it's not much of one, but can you run up high and make any ground up there?
Well, it looks to me like they're running higher than what we will run tomorrow. We saw Kyle Busch try to work that in. And just based on Cup Happy Hour, you know, when we would go to tracks that maybe IndyCar had tested at 2 or 3 weeks before, you would see this really late entry that they would make, and it was a little confusing because we would turn in so early. I felt like here when I went out for practice yesterday, or this morning, I was shocked at how opened up the entry was to the tunnel into turn 3, and I think these guys are able to do that a little bit more than what we can.
Menard has worked his way to 8th. Steady climb. Meanwhile, Kyle Busch checking out just a bit there, Regan.
Should be no surprise that Kyle Busch is doing this either, Adam. I talked to him yesterday after practice. He was very pleased with his race car. Went as far to say that once he was able to break the draft, he felt like he would drive away from the guys behind him. Well, he broke that draft early on, and that's what we're witnessing right now.
Won both stages last week at Charlotte. Got caught up on in that accident on a restart. Found his way back to 8th after being a couple laps down, Michael.
Yeah, and his lap times, Adam, they reflect the domination that we were afraid we might see. But I'm telling you, Larry McReynolds said it at the opening, strategy can mix this thing up. You get back in the pack and your car just won't be as dominant as Kyle's is now. And if I've got an opportunity, maybe from John Hunter Nemechek, Paul Menard, Chase Elliott, all cars inside the top 10. If I think I can get to pit road and get me some fuel and maybe just 2 tires, since we're not seeing a lot of fall off, I might take that chance right now.
Yep, I agree. I tell you, like, just looking at the lap times though, the 12 of Cindric and the 00 of Cole Custer, they're not far off lap time wise from what Kyle is running. And you know, when you watch all of these races, you always see someone dominate the first part of it, and then it seems like at the end everything gets a little bit closer. Now, I do think that Kyle Busch will still be good at the end, but I think that the field will tighten up a little bit once we put stickers on.
And what I like what you said also about these restarts coming ahead. You know you got to pounce. They saw Kyle get to the front and get away. They're going to be very aggressive on these restarts later in the race.
Kyle Busch has won at 25 different tracks in the Xfinity Series, but he's never won here at Pocono. He does only have 1 start, but he's still looking for his first Xfinity Series win here.
There you can see Allgaier chasing Tyler Reddick, and they're on Hemrick's bumper. There's a move.
There's that 9 car again.
Makes it work. That's what these rules are designed to do. Let you get that big pull off the corner and whip out and make a pass. Worked perfectly there for Reddick.
You know, on the inside of turn 3 right there, you can't see it, but there's actually very similar to if you drop off the shoulder of the highway, you hear those like little rumble strips, and you want to get as close to those as you can, but if you hit those with your left side tires, you immediately lose grip. So it looked like he was really tight to that. It made me think of it.
This place so unique. How do you prepare for a trip here? A lot of simulation time for you, Jamie?
No, I've actually never been in the simulator for Pocono. I feel like I'm too old for the simulator at this point. I've been to it a bunch, and I don't get a tremendous amount out of it. It is getting better each time you go, but it's so hard to simulate actually being on the track and you know, being in a car. But you know, Pocono, I mean, have been here quite a few times, and I've had some good runs here, some bad runs, and it's all about, gosh, we come here twice within about a 2-month period, and you can come here with the same setup both races and struggle at one and run really good at the other. So it's just one of those places you try to get all 3 corners as close as you can.
Been a few years since they repaved this place. I figure starting to wear out and build some more character once again as well.
Yeah, you know, to me this was the best repave we've had of any of the tracks we were at. This place was so rough. And Denny Hamlin probably doesn't want to hear me say that because he was so dominant here when it was rough. But this is one of the places they repaved, and I think the racing is better than it was prior to the repave. It is wearing out, and certainly there is some fall off in the Cup cars tomorrow over 10 to 20 laps. There's pretty good fall off, but it's a really racy track, and I like this place a lot more since it's been paved.
Chase Elliott up to 8th, went around Paul Menard as they went toward the tunnel turn. 4 laps to go, stage 1. Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, Austin Cindric, Cole Custer, Elliott Sadler, the top 5. And there's the 00. Going to mix it up. Custer, the pole sitter, going to make pit stop under green just before pit road closes to end the stage. He's heading your way, Matt.
And when you look at his weekend, it's totally full. He's running the Cup car on Sunday. When you go back to Las Vegas, he finished 25th in the Cup car, top 10 in his Xfinity car, but he told me mentally he almost had to reset because there was such a difference as far as just how you drive this car versus the Cup car. Right now, though, his biggest issue, the car just way too tight, especially on exit of 1 and 3. He could have used certainly some adjustments to help that.
Thank you, Matt. Larry, what do you read into the strategy they're playing out here?
I think it's perfect. It's the only way. We talked about it in the pre-race show. It's the only way you're going to beat Kyle Busch today is you're going to have to get off of his strategy. I am shocked that Jeff Mendering and that 00, they're the only ones that did that right there, because now they're going to stay out and they're going to have track position, possibly the lead of the race.
And
let's hear from Elliott Sadler. He's fourth now.
00 is pitting, no pressure out back. I think a lot of people are going to be able to do that because Kyle's got such a big lead. Yeah, it's N4. He's the only one that did it.
And you know what that tells me, Adam? The confidence of Cole Custer, Jeff Mendering, that whole team. They're going to give up stage points because they said, we're going to win races. We're going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to make a call right now to try to win this race today.
Yeah, and just looking at timing and scoring, I believe that there was only about 3 cars that had the option to do that because Kyle had a 6 or 7 second lead. I think you have to be within about 10 seconds of the leader to do it, and he's actually not far in front of Kyle right now on the track. So there's only a few cars that had a chance. I don't know. I got looking at Christopher Bell. He's won a race. He's going to make the chase. So I'm shocked that that those guys didn't do that either.
And you said it, Michael. He's given up stage points here at the end of stage 1, but it creates track position that could get him stage points at the end of stage 2 here, Larry.
Yeah, what I'm hammering on Cole Custer right now is you're in front of Kyle Busch. The caution's coming. Run those tires easy. All we need to do is stay on the lead lap right here. We don't need to set no track records.
Yeah, because you know everybody else is going to pit when the caution comes out, or likely they will, and it'll cycle through. Should put Cole Custer in the lead. Spirited battle here for the runner-up spot. Cindric and Bell going at it. Final lap, stage 1.
How impressive has Cindric been this year? I mean, we saw it in the trucks about halfway through last season. He figured things out, and he's just been better and better week in and week out. This is a solid run.
Yep, he's had really good lap times throughout this whole run. He's actually been kind of matching Kyle Busch. I don't know how hard Kyle's pushing it, but the 12's been about the second best car on the track.
As those two come off of turn 3, Kyle Busch back to the start-finish line. He's the winner of our first stage at Pocono. Bell going to get second. Good points for him. Cindric, Sadler in 4th. Brandon Jones with a top 5. Nemechek, Chase Elliott, Paul Menard, Tyler Reddick, and Daniel Hemrick complete the top 10 in stage 1. A strategy play for Cole Custer. What does that mean going forward? Pit stops when we return to Pocono.
Pit stops underway here at Pocono. Elliott Sadler's in, his pit crew going to work. He says the car is freer on the bank corners, flatter. In the flatter corners, more on the tight side. A small change in the right rear tire. Regan?
The 20 car, Christopher Bell, a new crew chief on the box this week while his regular crew chief is suspended. His race car's loose. He doesn't want to be any looser for this next run. And the 18, our leader of Kyle Busch, he needs the back under him just a little bit better through the corners. Gatorade and a bag of ice is all he requested.
Race off pit road +6 for Chase Elliott, who took 2 tires. Now, we said there was not a lot of fall off. Track position appeared to be huge with the advantage that Kyle Busch had out front, so we'll see if it works. Busch was second, Sadler, Bell, and Reddick, the others, making their way off the front into pit road. Michael?
Let's catch up with Cole Custer and ask him about that strategy call. Hey, Cole, it's Michael Waltrip and the boys up in the Fox booth. Do you copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Kyle drove away, and the team decided let's try some strategy. How do you feel about exactly where you're setting right now? And just got an update, Kyle Busch speeding on pit road, so he'll go to the back.
Yeah, I guess that'll be good. But I think we're all right. Our automation Mustang could be better, but I think everybody but the 18 is about equal. So I think as long as we can try and get it a little bit better and try and get it turned a little bit better, I think we'll be right there with them. But we'll see. I'm sure he'll be back here at the end of the race, so hopefully we can keep our track position here.
All right, well, have fun. This is a cool race to watch. Hope you're having a good time.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Not a good cycle of stops for Joe Gibbs Racing. We talked about Kyle Busch's speeding penalty, the same for his teammate, Christopher Bell. They'll have to come from the rear. Everybody chasing Cole Custer when we return to Pocono. So great to have Jamie McMurray in the booth with us. Joined us last year at Las Vegas. And, you know, we all know Jamie, the race car driver, but he is not afraid to have a little fun with the family, those young kids, and always a good time. But, of course, if he's not at the racetrack or with his family, he might be out on one of those long bike rides. Recently ran a marathon. Jamie, it's so good to have you join us here on a Saturday afternoon. And we've got a lot to talk about because the guy that was the dominant car in stage one going to have to go to the back. This ought to be entertaining.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see Kyle come back through the field and see if he's able to make all those passes. Judging off practice, he has a pretty good shot at it, I think, but that'd be fun to watch.
What about the strategy for Chase Elliott deciding to get those 2 tires, and what do you think about Custer's now that we're getting ready to go back to green flag?
Well, I think that Custer is probably wondering, was that the right call, because he's going to line up and have older tires. The fact that Kyle went to the back is going to help him a little bit. Chase Elliott in 2 tires, I don't want to make a call until I see it.
Kyle Busch in the back, he's got a drafting partner because Christopher Bell was also penalized there. You see him lining up at the tail. Ryan Reed also over the wall too soon with his group. He got a penalty on those first pit stops under caution of the day. Back green stage 2, Cole Custer taking that inside lane.
7 car got pretty aggressive, like 3 or 4 rows back, so that'd be fun to watch here, getting into turn 1.
You can see the blue car all the way on the bottom. That's Kyle Busch coming toward turn 1. Look at Elliott Sadler's going to make a move to the inside.
Sideways, Michael Annett, can he save it? Goes around, hold your breath.
Hold the brake, hold the brake.
I don't know how they missed him.
Both ways.
Well, he did a nice job, too. I mean, he had to judge when to turn that wheel back to the left, huh, Jamie?
I would say that that was exciting for Michael Annett to be driver's side first and knowing the whole field is coming. But that was good that he didn't slide back up. And I'm going to say he's going to put tires on and be fine there. It doesn't look like he has any damage at all.
And, you know, Adam, if he keeps that thing just cranked to the right while it's sideways, it'll eventually snap and go straight up into traffic. And so he was just trying to do his best to turn it to the right as much as he could, but not too much.
Well, and you know what? My gut says that Michael was probably one of the 40 guys out there saying, free me up, make the car turn better, make the car turn better. And they took a big swing at it right there. And the first corner is always the hardest. So,
what's the impact of having that car right to your outside? Does that help suck you around a little bit?
Yeah, I think that, and then also as close as you are to the car in front. It looked to me like he was in trouble before we even came on the view of the camera there.
Also, maybe a little bit it looked like when the 19 of Brandon Jones came down, maybe Annett said, I got to crank it a little bit harder to get off of the 19, and around he went.
We said restarts were going to be big. This one entertaining. Underway in stage 2. It's our second caution of the afternoon.
to compare this to an amusement park or a ride of some sort, I'm gonna go with like the tilt-a-whirl.
Gosh, I would say maybe the Intimidator in Carowinds there in North Carolina.
You're just riding along and then all of a sudden, boom, you spin around.
It's very fast, but then you've got a whole bunch of different whoop-de-doos and stuff that you do on that ride as well.
It just really catches you off guard. So it's one of those places that definitely like the tilt-a-whirl.
Jamie, I know during the break you said you would compare Pocono to the tilt-a-whirl. What about you, Michael?
I think it reminds me of bumper cars. You know, everybody's swerving at you and you're trying to miss them.
You ever ride the Beast over at Kings Island near Cincinnati as a kid coming up in Kentucky? No?
I did ride the wooden roller coaster at the fairgrounds in Nashville before they tore it down. I love that ride.
Good. Great memories of our childhood there, huh?
Yeah, I hope everybody at home enjoyed those.
Jamie
said if you ask him, next question, please.
I tried to bail him out on that. Here are our Ford Performance track facts. And we said earlier, this is our third event here at Pocono. Unique layout, the difference in banking, and really modeled after 3 different racetracks when you look at this facility.
Which one's your favorite, Jamie? Which one do you like to when you nail it, you come off of it and say, that was nice?
Wow, I think it just, I think being able to be good off turn 3 is the most important because the straightaway is so long, but it's, you want to be good off of all of them.
Tyler Reddick going to line up restart 5th here.
Hey, Tyler, can you look under the back of the one car, if you can right now, and see if there's anything dangling out of it?
That looks like a round piece of metal with lines coming out of it. Looks like the oil tank. Yeah, it's an oil tank. I mean, I'm just terrified I'm going to be behind it when it does finally decide to fall off.
Yeah.
So Elliott Sadler restarting on the front row.
I think that was sarcasm.
Oh, it sounds huge if it is indeed breaking loose.
Yeah.
Sadler hasn't had a bad race all season long. You see anything there, Michael? There it is.
Oh, it does appear to be something hanging down there.
Yeah.
And it does look like the oil tank.
You know, Custer was leading when we got underway in stage 2. He took the inside lane for that restart after taking the outside lane at the start of the race when he was on the pole, going outside lane again here, and this time it'll be the aforementioned Elliott Sadler to his left.
How much does that decision depend on who's going to push it?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure, and in this, whether you have Justin or you have Chase Elliott, both of those guys are going to be really good pushers.
As was John Hunter Nemechek, right on the back of Allgaier, and that's going to shoot that outside lane ahead.
Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell restarted 21st and 22nd respectively after those penalties on that last cycle of stops. Custer out front. Allgaier looking to the outside. Nemechek gets upset as he comes off of turn 1.
Everybody's gotten their cars freed up now. You can see them all having to work really hard in that first corner. Everyone looked like they were pretty loose right there. Being on the outside.
Those dives at turn 2 make me nervous, don't they, you?
Yeah.
What's the latest with Sadler, Matt?
Well, down here in the 1 pit, I just talked to Kevin Mendering, and he conferred with a number of the crew members about what that could be. He's unsure. In fact, Johnny Roberts, the rear changer, they went back and looked at his video from that stop when he had the left rear off just to try to get an eye inside that wheel well to get an idea of what it could be. Right now, they're not sure.
And look who's racing with Sadler. 61 of Kaz Grala is there, and Chase Elliott took 2 tires on that last stop. He's also hanging in the top 10 and 8th.
Yeah, Elliott got stuck on the bottom down the front stretch, and the outside, it looked like 2 or 3 cars at least went by him. So being on the bottom, such a deficit.
What about that big push from Chase Elliott?
He is all over him, right?
Wow.
That's fun to watch.
Y'all catching the 19 really quick here now.
Well, that's an understatement.
19 high down here.
You know, in the Xfinity Series, you can't lock bumpers at Daytona and Talladega.
Right.
That rule has not been implemented here at Pocono. We saw it right there. Big push, and now Elliott with momentum.
Yeah, Chase did a really good job there.
All clear.
He pushed the car to try to get underneath the 61 to get under the 19 right there, and backed his corner up. And then that 61 lost all those momentum, and he was able to go by both of them there. So that was a good setup right there.
And I know the word from the spotter's stand is coming down that there could be something wrong underneath the back of the 1 car. Look at this 3-wide move. Is that off the tunnel?
Oh my goodness. 3 wide, 2 wide, dive to the inside. A little added motivation for Kyle Busch, who is already back up inside the top 15. 2 green flag laps since he had that penalty.
He didn't want to go to the back, but I bet he's having a pretty good time right now passing all those cars.
He's going to be back in the top 10. On board here with Hemrick. This is for 12.
Outside.
Hemrick ran off the road. I don't know if maybe he was racing Truex and got too low.
Hey, Bell, right there with Kyle Busch as they make their drive through.
I guarantee you the 20's having fun. Regan, he loves a good car race, and he's in one right now.
Well, he's in a very good car race, passing a lot of cars quick, too. They had to really concentrate on this first stop, guys, because they did not get a very good fuel mileage reading earlier on in practice. So look for that to be a key for that 20 team and for fill-in crew chief Dave Rogers. Also, I got to ask a question to Jamie. Jamie, you don't think by chance he came down pit road without even looking at his tack and just assuming that perhaps his teammate of Kyle Busch was on the numbers, and as long as he stayed on his bumper, he would be good, do you?
Yeah, I don't know, but I wouldn't think that he was doing that. I didn't see the exact position. The the tacks are a little different in the Xfinity cars than what we have in the Cup cars, and Kyle runs enough of these races that I wouldn't expect any of that to be a problem. But my gut tells me that the team just has them set really close, and those guys are pushing it to the limit, and they both got caught.
And we've talked a lot about the strength of Joe Gibbs Racing today, giving credit where credit is due. Team Penske, both of their cars in the top 4. Cindric there in the 12, the rookie from Mooresville, North Carolina, not too far in front of him. Paul Menard, the Cup veteran. What about one of the other rookies, Tyler Reddick, Matt?
Some small contact during that first stage, Adam. A small dent the right front corner of Tyler Reddick Chevrolet. During that stop, the team put a small piece of tape on the nose to try to help counterbalance the tight condition that he was experiencing. Because of that dent right now, he's just running in the draft, but they feel like the car much better.
And I said earlier, these teams ran this setup at Indianapolis last year. 9-car one with William Byron. Dave Ellens was the crew chief. He's on the box for Reddick. Today is Kyle Busch, picks up one more. He's inside the top 10 after that move around the 11 of Truex.
Check out this battle for the lead. Allgaier's been able to track down Cole Custer. Really strong runs off the corner, and right behind him there's Paul Menard. That's what Allgaier needs, I think, is for Menard to close the gap a bit too, and maybe give him a push around our leader Cole Custer.
Kyle Busch is 4.5 seconds back in 10th. Let's continue to follow the difference and the ground that he makes up on the race leader with just over 10 laps remaining in this, our second stage.
Well, he's got some good cars he's going to have to navigate around now, Adam. You can see how fast off the corner the 9 is, closing in on the 19. And
did you say Allgaier was going to make his way to the front today? I believe you said that, didn't you, Michael?
Yeah, you had to know he was going to come from the back. As talented of a racer, and what a great race team that is. They work so well together. Billy Wilburn stepping in as crew chief.
Yeah, Jason Burdett suspended a couple of races after that win at Dover when they had problems in the inspection line, but Allgaier not quitting. Had a good run last week before the two of you, Jamie, got together late at Charlotte. Here he is knocking on the door of the lead. Just a couple of car lengths back of Cole Custer. This for 7th. Elliott and Reddick there.
We've got battles all over this racetrack and great competition too.
You know, it looks like Justin's a little bit better than him. He can't time the run out to get beside him. It seems like just at the time they get to the end, well, now he's going to work the outside, it looks like, into the tunnel. He just can't get quite the run that he needs off the corner there.
What's up with Allgaier, Matt?
Back in stage 1, he was struggling everywhere in the 7 car. It was on edge, especially in the centers of turn 1 and 2. And then especially in dirty air, it was just killing him on exit super tight. They made an air pressure change. Justin decided to wave off the track bar adjustment, and the car has really come to life.
I think Paul Menard's going to be able to help the 7 here. When he gets to him, that's going to make those 2 cars quicker, and I think that that's going to help him get by the 00. Looks like he might be trying to get underneath him there into turn 1.
Keeps looking there, putting the fake on him. Cole Custer's.
Yeah, he is putting the fake on him, isn't he?
Cole Custer's solid.
Great battle for the lead, so we'll keep it side by side as we go to break. Top 5 with 9 to go, stage 2. Custer, Allgaier, Menard, Cindric, and John Hunter Nemechek. 6 laps to go, stage 2 at Pocono for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Nothing has changed at the front. Cole Custer continues to lead, but it's tight. Allgaier second. Menard is third. Austin Cindric is now there in fourth. Little ways back to John Hunter Nemechek. Kyle Busch got caught in some traffic. When he got in the top 10, he was 4.5 seconds back of the leader. It drifted to almost 6 seconds, but now he's in the 6th position and just over 4 seconds behind. The 18 has got an incredible race car. So with their penalty and how we've seen the lineup get shaken up just a bit, watch that battle for the lead. Larry, real quickly, tell us what you're thinking strategy-wise with 5 to go.
Yeah, this is where you have to start thinking about what is it going to take to win the race. Now, remember, the fuel window is 42 to 46 laps. Once we get the end of stage 2 and go back racing, that's going to be about where that window's at. But right now, if you're running outside the top 10, come with 3 to go on the stage, get your 4 tires, and then when you catch back up, you'll be on the lead lap. When they do open pit road after stage 2, you pit for fuel only, and you're going to get a ton of track position. I think this is a great opportunity to make this happen. Matt, is this what some of them are maybe thinking?
That's what people up and down pit road, Larry Mack, are thinking. And also look at how it benefited the 0-0 of Cole Custer. We may see some other guys. Remember back when the race began, we had Chris Rice talking on the 11 team's radio just about different strategies. Also, Daniel Hemrick's team, he was told that they've got to stay 12 to 13 seconds back of the leader so they won't lose a lap, because they too are looking at that option as strategy.
And at the end of stage 1, you really needed to be in the top 10 when you look at that distance behind the leader. Now, I mean, 10th position's only 8 seconds back, so a lot of guys have options compared to what we saw at the end of stage 1.
I mean, I think you're going to see a bunch of them come on pit road right here. It happened. It's going to happen tomorrow. And looking at this, it looks to me like there's 13 guys that can pit without losing a lap. And if Cole Custer does pit, then that opens it up for a bunch of other guys to be able to pit as well. So I think we're going to see them all dive on pit road here.
I don't think Custer does. I think he wants that playoff point. He gave up some stage points that last run to get some track position. He has that track position now. I think he wants that playoff point. I think you got to consider both. You know, can you? Christopher Bell is the first to come. Here comes some more guys.
Brandon Jones, Daniel Hemrick also on pit road, Matt.
And we talked about the possible strategy for Daniel Hemrick. Now, earlier in the race, the tunnel turn was his money corner. That's where the car was the strongest. Track bar adjustment this run, the car also was much on the tight side. Coming around to the left side, Regan.
Well, Dave Rogers is throwing a little bit of an audible into his plans today. He originally wanted to stay out as long as his race car was in the top 5 and maximize stage points today. But he said earlier on, if his car was between 6th and 7th place, he would think about pitting. He pits from 9th place, and they're going to give up a point at the end of this so that they can try and make the race a win at the end.
I don't mind giving up 2 or 3 playoff points. Do you, Jamie?
No, I think they're trying to win the race, and I think that's the way you need to look at all of these.
Well, he has a win, so he's locked into the postseason, and he knows that. There goes Cole Custer across the start-finish line, 2 to go. So now you shut the pit lane. Menard is now up to 2nd. Allgaier and Cindric racing for 3rd. There goes Cindric by. This has been a real good battle among those top 4.
What about the teammates pushing together to get around Allgaier, drop him back to 4th? Now can they go take down Custer? Thought that was funny.
Little bump drafting here. 18 of Kyle Busch, 23 of Chase Elliott. 6th and 7th on track. Just behind John Hunter Nemechek, Michael.
I think Chase Elliott's made that car better and better today. I mean, he has been able to really make some nice moves in this stage.
Crew chief is Chad Norris. Outstanding job for him. That team won at Talladega.
Look at that for the lead.
Yeah, this
there
is
goes
good.
Menard.
As long as his teammate will go with, well, it looks like he's already quite a ways ahead, but they have worked really well together because it's so hard to complete that pass.
1 lap to go. This is it in stage 2. Custer stays out. He wants that playoff point, and Menard says not so fast. You can throw a blanket over the top 3 off of turn 1.
Watch your run on the 12. Watch your bottom, still outside.
How about the top 4?
Allgaier.
This is getting pretty good here, coming down to the checker. This is great.
This is what stage racing is all about. These guys desperate for that playoff point.
3 Fords and a Chevrolet. Drafting in play as we come back for the final time in stage 2, and add to that the lap machine of Mike Harmon in the 74. What role will he play in all of this?
Wow, that's a great way to come down to the finish for this. I'm hoping at the end of the race comes down to this.
Wow, what a great move by Menard.
Yeah. Advantage inside Menard. He makes the pass off of turn 3. He wins stage 2 at Pocono. Custer is second. Then it's Allgaier, Cindric, John Hunter Nemechek, the top 5. And Kyle Busch rallied to finish 6th.
Good adjustment, he said. He likes his car.
Yeah. Rest of the top 10, Chase Elliott, Elliott Sadler, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Truex. The car circled here is Mike Harmon. He's a lap down. An epic battle for the win in stage 2. It goes to Paul Menard.
And you got to hand it to Paul Menard here. He could have given up right here, but he said, I think I can squeeze in there.
Yeah, and the double zero gave him plenty of room here because you know that he wanted to. I would say if it came down to for the win, that would have been a different turn 3.
4 wins for Team Penske in 2018 with 3 different drivers. Menard trying to add his name to the list, gets his 2nd career victory in a stage here today.
It's pretty cool to see how close all those guys were together at the end of that stage.
Pit road is open. They're heading your way, Matt.
Cole Custer making his way to his pit stall, chasing his 2nd win. Now, Custer was saying that he just can't afford to be any more free on the first lap, but the car just transitions, just plows over the course of the run. Meanwhile, looking in the triples, the 7, Justin Allgaier, he is plowing into turn 1. Significant chassis adjustment, but he just doesn't want to be too free. Regan.
On the left side of your screen in the middle, Austin Cindric just needs his race car to turn a little bit better. This team finally gaining momentum because they're running back-to-back races, which they have not done very often this year. The 22 of Paul Menard on the bottom left, they were going for the win only and stage points didn't matter. Well, the driver did not get that memo according to what the crew chief told me earlier today.
A lot of strategy here. Tiff gets 2 tires. He's plus 11. Menard's 2nd. Custer comes off 3rd. Casgrala goes 2 tires. He is 4th coming out. Elliott Sadler with extended work. We talked about his problems earlier and more strategy. John Hunter Nemechek, Christopher Bell, who came down under green late in stage 2. They stay out here.
And I don't think they had much of a choice on Elliott Sadler's car. Jamie, because that oil tank looked like it was indeed dangling, and they're cleaning it up here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked if it is the oil tank, but if that is the case, then yeah, you certainly got to come down and look at that.
Brandon Jones also stayed out, and I want to make a correction. John Hunter Nemechek, his only pit stop at the end of stage 1, Michael.
Let's see what Justin Allgaier thinks. Justin, you've been a highlight reel. What a great run early in this race. You got enough to win this, baby? It's Michael Waltrip and the boys.
Yeah, buddy, I hope so. Mark Brower's 201 Chevy's been good. You know, it's just, you know, trying to figure out the traffic here and where to pass and where to make the runs. And, you know, unfortunately, I've not done a great job of that today. So we'll keep working on it here. We got a fast Camaro. Everybody back at Junior Motorsports has done a great job. And hopefully the fans at home that are watching on the Xfinity service, they're getting the money's worth with this package. You know, it's been interesting. It's changed the game a lot here at Pocono. And hopefully we can do our job and win the first race like this here.
Well, it was a great race to that stage. Good job. We'll talk to you later. It's a hot day. Stay hydrated.
Yeah, copy on that. Thanks, Michael.
Leader right now is John Hunter Nemechek. His only pit stop of the day came at lap 27. We'll get you set up for the final stage when we return.
Here at Pocono in the Xfinity Series, Kyle Busch, he sped during the first after the end of stage 1, and this was his most recent pit stop to end stage 2.
Yeah, he had worked his way back inside the top 10, Shannon, and just a rough pit stop. He lost 3 spots. If you go back to his first trip to pit road at the end of stage 1, he actually lost 1 spot on that trip to pit road.
Kyle Busch just outside the top 10 for this restart, Adam. We'll send it back up to you.
Right now, our scoring monitor says he's going to line up 12th, Shannon. Leader will be John Hunter Nemechek. His only pit stop of the day came at lap 27 at the end of our first stage. Brandon Jones, Christopher Bell pitted under green at lap 47. Everyone after that made pit stops here at the end of stage 2. Keep an eye on Kyle Busch. Keep an eye on Elliott Sadler. Extended stop for our points leader. He restarts 29th. We are under green, final stage at Pocono.
I was a little shocked that John Hunter took the bottom right there.
And look at this. Here comes Allgaier. Final stop of the day, right? Matt?
Brandon Harder topping off that tank of fuel. He's away. They're going for it now. They're not going to come back unless there's a caution.
I like that call. What do you think, guys, as we battle for the lead up front?
Yeah, mixing it up. I like it.
I like this action. There's cars all over the racetrack. That's 5 wide.
Yeah, we got some guys on 2 tires, some on no tires, some guys with 4. So it's going to get so interesting here to see what strategy works out.
Look at Brandon Jones using that high line in the tunnel turn to hold off the inside line.
Brandon Jones to the lead. Nemechek falling back in the 42. Here comes Menard, Custer, and Kyle Busch already back to the top 5 after that tough pit stop.
Look at Christopher Bell. He's driving right up on the back bumper of Kyle Busch. Will he push him around Hendrick?
I think he's just going to try to pass him instead.
How about just dive all the way down to the bottom of the racetrack? That's what Bell did at the start-finish line. Ryan Reed going to try and pull it off as well.
I would say that caught Kyle off guard. The fact that Bell's his teammate, he probably assumed he was going to go with him, but Christopher's doing what he's got to do to win right here, and you know, just following Kyle is not gonna get him to the front.
There you see the varying pit strategies that Jamie talked about.
I just have kind of an opinion, Adam. I like the strategy. I like when guys throw a curveball. The Hail Mary we talked about in the pre-race. Oh, there's a crash.
Hard into the wall. 60 of Chase Briscoe. Michael Annett got some of that as well. Caution is out. 4th one of the afternoon. Briscoe, rookie, 23 years old, out of Mitchell, Indiana, has an ARCA win here, won the ARCA championship a couple seasons ago.
Here. And now I do love the strategy by Justin Allgaier.
Yeah, he looks like a hero right now.
Because I think,
or his crew chief does.
A lot of people will pit here. See if we can see what happened.
They were both inside the top 10.
Oh, man.
Allgaier gets loose and just simply nowhere for Chase Briscoe to go.
Yeah, it looked like the 60 was just going to try to get to his outside, and then once they got hooked together, and that corner, it's so hard to, I feel like, to explain to people at home about how fast that is, how rough it is. It's hard visually just to see through there. It's so bouncy. Bouncy. that was a word that I feel like
you know, it's tough for Annett because they had the early spin, came back from that, and inside the top 10, and then this.
Yeah, that's frustrating for both of those guys.
So now, Larry, what happens and where does Allgaier sit after making that pit stop? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously in good shape to make it, but I just think these guys up front, they're not going to pit because these cautions are exactly what they need. You're sitting here right now with 29 drivers on the lead lap with 43 laps to go. If I'm anywhere near the front, unless I'm maybe John Hunter Nemechek, somewhere they're going to have to pit. We know that. I just don't see you giving up that track position. I think these cautions are exactly what these drivers need, the ones that pitted now when we ended stage 2.
And you can watch, Larry, you can see the 22 of Menard look like maybe shutting that engine off, saving a little bit of fuel. There's hands on the switch. They're using every trick in the book out there on the track, Larry, to try to stretch that gas all the way to the checkered. A race car driver's work is never done, is it, Jamie? They always want something out of you.
So this just came, this has been like 4 or 5 years ago when we started shutting the engines off under caution. And it's not a big deal to shut it off, but the fact that you got to hold the clutch pedal in the whole time that you have it shut off, it gets a little aggravating.
There's that strategy we're talking about, a lot of cars to pit road.
Going to get some tires here. You saw Matt Tiff, Christopher Bell, John Hunter Nemechek, Chase Elliott. What do you see, Regan?
while John Hunter Nemechek hits his pit box. These guys had their strategy messed up just a little bit. Their plan was to stay out and take 4 tires under green. Unfortunately, that did not work out. Christopher Bell is going to come back in right here. He will get the fuel load that he needs to finish this race off. Crew Chief Dave Rogers has done a great job in manipulating this race after that speeding penalty early on.
I would say all these drivers are going to restart somewhere outside the top 15. But hey, fresher tires, a little give, a little take. It is going to be a fun run to the checkers. It's been entertaining so far at Pocono. It's June 2nd. Let's go on this date. 1896, Marconi patents the radio. June 2nd, 1935, Babe Ruth announces his retirement from baseball. How about the coronation of Queen Elizabeth in 1953? And in 2002, Jimmy Johnson won the first of his 75 wins at Dover. No, it was actually the first of 11 at the Monster Mile.
Can you make it from here? Make it, but we're probably a lap and a half, maybe 2 short right now with this caution. So
how do you make it?
Just, we're close, so we'll be fine right there. That was the right thing. So what I meant was, can we make it from this caution, which we can. We should have just pitted it, but on the safe side.
He said you can make it. You're just 2 laps short. That's what he said, right?
That makes sense,
yeah,
right?
Completely.
Front row for the restart, Brandon Jones, Paul Menard. Of all those drivers that just came down pit road at lap 58, they restart from 17th on back. First of them will be Chase Elliott. Here we go, green flag in the air with 40 remaining at Pocono.
Nice even start there for our front row. Big push for Brandon Jones from Kyle Busch in that 18.
Yeah, that was amazing because the 18 pushed the 19 all the way down the straightaway, and they really didn't gain that much ground on Paul Menard on the bottom.
Look at Ryan Truex in the purple car up inside the top 5.
Great weekend at Charlotte, following it up here. Four wide. That's interesting. Some of those guys on fresh tires. That's Allgaier into the wall. He collects Bell.
Man.
I mean, you just had to know that was coming. They were stacked so tightly together.
And the bump drafting, the pushing, it just gets more aggressive as you get to the end.
2 weeks in a row for Allgaier.
You talked about
left rear. Yeah, I hope freaking tail's knocked off.
Yeah, it's at least the left rear.
You talked about bump drafting, Adam. We'll see if we can see what started this back there.
Is that Sadler? Yeah, that's the team car
like
pushing Allgaier. There you see it right there. Let's follow it through.
But it actually looks like the 7.
Did he slide up in front of Dylan Lupton?
Yeah, that was Lupton in that black 28 that somehow was able to stay off of Allgaier, get through unscathed.
Look at Alex LeBay, the Canadian, slipping by on the bottom.
Again, I can't believe on a restart you don't collect more cars, and that was a hard impact for Bell as he went to the outside wall. See it one more time, and as we do, I remind everyone of how good the safety has gotten here at Pocono compared to years past over on the Long Pond straightaway. What do you see, Michael?
It's 4 wide. It's difficult to tell if a push went bad or if Allgaier just tried to move up.
Yeah, man, it looks like he almost moved up. Elliot's really good at being aggressive but not like going over the line, I feel like. And it just almost looks like the 7 moved up a little bit right there.
How much do you think these guys did talk about bumping and how to race and help one another in this situation? Because it's not something we normally see here.
We should be able to tell here. Oh, maybe just a combination.
Kind of both. Yeah. Like I'm with you. It's
maybe,
so hard to.
Maybe it just drove the 7 to the right just a little bit, and he clipped Dylan Lupton.
Yep.
Here's what they're saying in Elliott Sadler's camp.
I was trying to push the 7, and then he and the 28 got together and it turned to 7. I don't know if I pushed him incorrectly or he was trying to move up to get clear.
I mean, that's exactly what we saw.
That's exactly what we said, isn't it?
Hey, don't look now, but Kyle Busch is leading this race. Allgaier done for the afternoon. There's Bell on pit road. 38 remaining at Pocono. Kyle Busch, Brandon Jones, Paul Menard, Cole Custer, Ryan Reed, the top 5 under caution for the 5th time.
almost clear. 18 still pushing.
Double zero's hitting, no pressure out back.
I think a lot of people are going to be able to do that because Kyle's got such a big lead. Just focus, okay? Just dig deep here. We just can't lose momentum.
I'm fine. I just either in the wrong lane or can't get help, or it's the story of the whole deal, man. Just left high and dry no matter what.
Oh boy, it's been exciting here today. When we go back to green flag racing, it'll be 2 Joe Gibbs racing cars on the front row. You see Kyle Busch will lead the field to green, and then his teammate Brandon Jones in that 19 car, he'll start second. Let's take a look at the guy on top of the pit box for Brandon Jones, why don't we? Chris Gabehart, he's been a crew chief with Joe Gibbs Racing in this Xfinity series for the last 3 years. Been racing for a lot longer than that, and it truly is a family affair. You see him there with his dad, Kevin. Mom Carrie also getting in on a little racing action. And how about this for an adventure? He's gone sledding down a volcano in South America with his wife Jen. Where do we find this stuff?
Well, we dig deep for you. You can see right here, though, this is his 3rd season as a crew chief at Joe Gibbs Racing Xfinity Series. 2016 with Eric Jones, 8 poles, 4 wins, finished 4th in the points. Last year, 7 different drivers, won 5 races with 3 different drivers. He first worked at Kyle Busch Motorsports on the late model program, been an engineer at Joe Gibbs Racing on the Cup side. And Regan, his man, is in 2nd, but I question where they're at on fuel.
Well, his man is in 2nd. Chris Gabehart, I've listened to you on the radio telling your driver to save fuel extremely hard with the save fuel. Is he going to have enough to make it to the end here?
Well, it's Pocono, and it's a brand new package, so needless to say there's a ton of unknowns. We're banking on some cautions right now. Obviously the XYO network Toyota Camry's been really good today, and Brandon's been doing a great job on restarts. Really proud of him there. I'm looking forward to the end of this thing. We still got a few cards left in the deck to play if we need to.
I love the aggressiveness. Chris Gabehart, always one of the most aggressive in this pits.
I said earlier today, Regan, this race is going to be unpredictable, and I think we hit the nail on the head. This has been something else.
Nailed it, and there's still the best yet to come. I mean, these guys are going to totally turn up the aggression and be not only 4 and 5 wide, maybe even 6, especially on these restarts. It's going to be entertaining for us to watch, but if you're the leader, Kyle Busch, you've got this race back in control. Yep. Can he drive away from him again?
Well, we're going to wait and see. I think everyone's got their cars a little bit better. The 22 looks to me to be the 2nd best car, and he's up front right now, so hopefully those guys put a good race on for us.
I was going to say Menard has gotten better and better as this day has continued. What is your game plan? How do you attack for the stretch run?
Well, I think right now it's all these guys saving enough gas, trying to make sure that they have enough to get to the end.
I'm looking at some guys, too, that we haven't really talked much about today, Adam, who've made their way up toward the top 10. That's Shane Lee in the 3 car. Kaz Grala is 11th. And Cole Custer, he's rebounded all the way up inside the top 5.
Keep an eye on Chase Elliott, restarting 12th. They've got the freshest tires of anyone. Not a huge difference, but if that is a factor, he might be someone that rallies late. 35 laps to go when we get the green. Kyle Busch takes the outside lane.
Yeah, 4th place is the 2nd best position to be in on these restarts, and it looked like Cole was already pushing Kyle at the start-finish line. So it'll be fun to see if Cole can challenge Kyle here if they come off 1st and 2nd. That inside's at just such a deficit when the outside can get locked together.
Look at the nice run by Hemrick. You talked about the outside. He's able to make it work up there as well.
They're going to go 4 wide again across the Long Pond straightaway.
Don't put it past them.
Maybe cooler heads have prevailed just a bit compared to that last restart. It's Busch, Custer, then Hemrick.
Looked like the 9 car had a pretty good run off of turn 1.
Shane Lee in the top 5. Haven't said that today.
That's impressive for him to be in the top 5 this late in the race. It's really good.
And there they are, 3 wide on that short straightaway, the 22 car. Pounding ahead.
Saw the 23 at Chase Elliott. Michael from 12th to 6th. Maybe those tires do mean something for the 2014 champ.
Yeah, when you can hear the engine and the throttle position, they're not out of the gas very much on these restarts. I feel like Paul Menard took somewhat of a chance there staying on the 11s inside down the front stretch, but that outside didn't have as big of a run as what I expected.
Truex in 8th in the 11.
And look at Menard able to get below the 19 of Jones off the corner. Hoping for a bit of a push there from Reddick. Making that work. Kaz Grala's locked to the back of Brandon Jones. And here comes Ryan Reed.
That's going to get itchy. Oh.
Reed 5th on the restart, has fallen back to 12th, trying to make a move to the inside of Menard. Just in front of him, Kaz Gralla in the 61.
That was an experienced move by Menard, wasn't it? He could.
Man, that was because I guarantee the spotter was saying inside and outside, and I'm not sure where you're at. And I think it's hard to appreciate too. They're about a mile away from where the spotters are spotting right now, so that was really good.
Sadler in this mix. Let's get an update on him. What a long afternoon for that group, Matt.
Seems like ages ago when he was on pit road, they made 3 different stops. First, they used a whole box of tie wrap to secure in the oil tank, came back a second time to service the car, third time just to double check that everything was all right, and then they pitted again to top him off for fuel, so he should be good to go. Meanwhile, the 11 of Ryan Truex, when the green flag dropped on this run, they said he was about half a lap short, so he should probably be able to go, what, 2 or 3 extra laps?
You have to love our sport when they tell Elliott, we wire tied the oil tank in. We think you're going to be okay.
Here's Truex.
Number 9, that is not how to restart a race, and I do not appreciate it. Yeah, 4.
How many times do you lose your cool during a 250-mile race, Jamie?
Yeah, that won't be his last time to get upset, right?
They are having a good day.
Everyone has an agenda. It's just not always the one that you want them to be on.
Well, this is a really interesting top 10, isn't it? I mean, I mentioned Kaz Gralla's up there. He's 9th right now. Truex having a nice afternoon. Said Shane Lee's name. He's 6th. Chase Elliott's progress halted a bit. He's 5th behind Cindric. Hemrick, Custer, and Kyle Busch continues to lead.
Another great run by Kaz Gralla there. He's running 10th, and here comes Elliott, and he's on a flyer.
Yeah, he had a huge run right there.
Well, you knew he would finish in the top 10.
Yeah.
Does every week.
That's a tough position to be in there. He makes one pass, thought about the other one, but couldn't quite get there.
Yeah, Menard was super committed on the outside, really drove in there deep. Menard's got a great car. He's just lined up on the wrong side of the restart the last couple of times, and it's got him behind a little bit here.
It seems to me like lane choice and maybe just luck of the draw on restarts in which lane you're in has been magnified more and more in recent years.
Yeah, and I think that with the rules that we have this weekend, it's even more so. The fact that you can almost probably run wide open through turn 1 here. You know, if you get pinched down in that outside lane, gets a run. It's a big deficit to be on the bottom.
Want to be outside tomorrow as well if you're in control?
I think so. Yeah, I think the leader will restart on the outside. The outside's better, but you do want to try to get to the bottom when you get to turn 1.
Cindric having a great afternoon in 4th.
0, if I get to him, I'll help him to the 18.
10-4, buddy.
Well, I like it. It's already wanting to work together. That's awesome.
And, you know, he had a speeding penalty, lost a ton of track position. There are so many drivers today that have dealt with some form of adversity or lost all that position when they cycled things out through strategy. And here we are with 30 to go and everybody trying to get to the end and put themselves in a great spot.
If this runs green, the 12 car is going to be one of the best cars. He was one of the best cars at the end of stage 1, and he's got, again, he's going to be one of the cars to beat at the end.
Allgaier's out of the care center. Let's hear from him, Matt.
4 wide racing, 3 wide racing, side drafting, bump drafting. Was it your teammate that got into you that started that?
I'm not really sure. You know, unfortunately, right there, we were coming off of 1, and you know, these restarts have been so crazy all day today, and as close as we all are, and just unfortunately got kind of spun to the right, and then when it came back to the left, I think I caught Christopher, and you know, just unfortunately, just not the ideal situation. But you know, we had a really fast Breyers 2-in-1 Camaro. Looks like the 28, I think, got me first right there. I'm not really sure, but really fast Breyers 2-in-1 Camaro. Car looked great this weekend, so I hate it for those guys and everybody back at Junior Motorsports because they've been working their tails off, and obviously not how we wanted to end today. But we'll regroup. We'll go next week to Michigan. Hopefully we can take what we learned this weekend and use it to our betterment next week and go have a better day.
All right, thanks, Justin. Adam?
Same setup on these cars next weekend at Michigan for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I'd say we'll see a little more bump drafting in the Irish Hills.
And talk about that, Jamie. Next week is going to be out of hand with these cars, these rules on that big, wide open, sweeping Michigan track. It's going to be a thrill to watch.
Yeah, I think that is similar to Charlotte. The fact that when you go to Michigan or like at Charlotte and you can run the top or the bottom or the middle, that makes this package, I feel like, more competitive and everyone closer together. And yeah, to me, next weekend is going to be, that'll be one to watch.
We heard from Allgaier. Let's hear from Justin Bell. Back to Justin Bell. That would be Christopher Bell.
He's British.
The other Bell. Yeah, Christopher
IMSA
Bell.
Racing is going on this week in Detroit as well. My pal Justin Bell. Christopher Bell is out. So walk us through what happened from your vantage point.
I don't know, man. Just restarts at Pocono. That's the bottom line. I feel like our route Camry was exceptional. It was pretty much doing whatever I needed it to do, and I just made a mistake there whenever I followed Kyle onto pit road at the end of the first stage. He was going really fast, and I thought I could too, and I just sped. But you know, there's nothing I could have done there, or Justin for that matter. We were just victims of Pocono restarts. It's really hairy and really exciting, and that's why we love it. That's why sometimes we hate it.
And I did pick up a little hint of British there. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, he needs to work on it just a little bit, Matt. So Kyle Busch leading with 28 laps to go, just over a second advantage. Cole Custer second. Then it's Hemrick, Cindric, Chase Elliott completing the top 5. Let's hear from Team 18.
Are we running faster or slower than we did earlier, Eric?
Pretty close to the same pace. Just keep going here. You're 1.3 out front. Try to run till 20 to go, and then I'll try to back you down to a pace.
The reason why I'm asking, Eric, is I feel like there's more throttle on time right now than there was earlier, so that's going to change your mileage numbers. It's easier to run more gas.
And Jamie, we talked about this earlier. It's difficult to save gas with these rules because you're pretty much wide open all the way around.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow you're going to shift or not shift if you want to save some fuel. You can also lift early and coast at the corner because we're using brake where these guys are just barely lifting. So it's almost like saving fuel at Daytona or Talladega. It's just really hard to do.
We're going to take you to break. We'll keep it side by side here so you won't miss anything. Kyle Busch, Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, the top 3 with 27 to go. Unconfirmed reports from our crew that this morning our guest analyst Jamie Mack was jogging around a Pocono. It's about 6 a.m. local time. We know you love to get on that bike and get after it, huh?
Yeah, you know, I really enjoy cycling. I did a marathon last December in Kiowa, and running I like a little bit more, so I'm doing more of that now. But it's fun to get out, especially on the bike at a place like this. You land you drive to the racetrack, you get in your motorhome, you never leave, and to get on the bike and to be able to ride around a little bit and kind of see a little bit around the track, it's nice.
You get older, you got to take care of yourself.
Easy.
By the way,
easy on the getting older.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.
Age is only a number.
It is.
23 to go, and we've been singing the praises of Austin Cindric, who's fourth here.
If we were to get a caution at any point, would we pit or we just stay out?
Stay out. There's too many on the lead lap here. I can't see the advantage from where we're at here.
Instead of really racing for third, being fourth would be better for that restart.
Yeah, and the 18's probably the closest on their fuel number 2 here, so he's close. We're a lot better off than he is.
26 cars are on the lead lap. Larry, have they had enough cautions to make the strategy work and go the distance here?
Adam, I really believe they do. Remember, the fuel window, 42 to 46 laps. If you look at Kyle Busch, Cole Custer, and Daniel Hemrick, they pitted with 48 to go, but we've had 12 cautions. That is a lot of caution laps. And then you look at Austin Cindric in that 12 car, pitted with 46 to go, 10 cautions. Now, of course, I think the driver that's in the best position is Chase Elliott, who topped off with 42 to go. The only one I question, Regan talked to his crew chief, Chris Gabehart, a while ago, is Brandon Jones. I know he's had a ton of cautions, but he's trying to run 53 total laps in that car. So that's the only one I think is a real stretch.
You know, Adam, when you say the fuel window's 42 to 46, I hope I'm on that 46 side of that equation, because this is going to be really tight as we head toward the checkered. And you know, Kyle Busch has only opened up his lead to just over a second, so maybe some fuel saving going on there, but all these other guys are hammered down.
Yeah, and I heard Cindric's spotter say something, or maybe the crew chief say, do we want to pass third or second? Because if there is a caution, we're going to get the lineup on the outside, and we know that fourth is kind of the position to be in unless you can be the leader. So it's going to be interesting to see if he elects to go ahead and pass those guys. I think that if it goes green, and I said this earlier, he has a really good long-run car. We're hearing Kyle Busch's crew chief talk about, hey, I'll back you down when we get a little, like 20 to go about right now. I don't think that Cindric has to. I think he has 2 more laps with the gas, and he has nothing to lose, right? There's no points for that car, so they're going to go for it.
Here's what's great for Cindric. This team, the 12 not running full time, when you consider the effort that they've been able to put together this weekend, very, very impressive. And Cole Custer been outstanding all day as well, Matt.
And Cole Custer going back to his spotter, Timmy Fedua, for a lot of knowledge and advice, asking where the 18 of Kyle Busch is beating the 00. And Timmy told him he's basically backing up his corner a little bit more than what Cole is doing. Suggestion, try that. And by the way, question for you guys. What driver in the field has won in a quarter midget race outside turn 3 and an ARCA race here at Pocono?
I'm guessing, just because you were talking about Cole Custer, it is in fact Cole Custer.
I'm going to go with him too, just because you did.
Great minds think alike. The 00, Cole Custer. He was 7 years old when he won on that little dirt quarter mile track outside, quarter midget outside turn 3.
And Jamie, if you're the 00, how frustrating is it right now? He's got that 18 in sight. He hasn't been able to drive away, but in his rearview mirror, there's Daniel Hemrick lurking.
Yeah. I think
we might need to capitalize if we can, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. That's what I try to tell Fedor. Like, I understand we want to be tightened up, but if the 18 runs out and we haven't made our move like we can, then we're stupid. You know what I mean? That's not racing. I get it.
Well, there you go. There's just so much. Like, this is such a big track, and when we start talking about trying to go one more lap, it's not like Martinsville where it's a 15 or 20 second lap. I mean, this is one of those places that you can't even get back to the pits when you run out of gas.
What about the 23 of Chase Elliott? He's been able to drive up on the back bumper of the 12. That helps fuel mileage a bit if you got a pusher behind you, but I don't think Chase Elliott is much interested in being a pusher. He's got more gas than the rest,
right?
And I think he's thinking, I'm going to go win this race.
Yeah, and they're getting into lap traffic. I've been watching these guys, and they're getting into lap traffic, and that could be the difference in winning and losing. If Kyle Busch catches that lap traffic at the wrong place, and those guys get that big run, and there's 2 or 3 of them all together, that could really be a deal breaker here.
Look at those top 5, 3 of them going to be racing here tomorrow live on FS1, Monster Energy Series, beginning the second half of the regular season. Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, the obvious double duty guys. Cole Custer going to make his second career start at NASCAR's top level here tomorrow as we go side by side for 15th. Gralla in the 61, the 2 of Matt Tiff. Been a quiet driver for the kid out of Ohio today, driving for Richard Childress.
Yeah, much less drama than last week at Charlotte with heavy damage to the front of that 2 car and rebounding and rallying to a great finish. Really spirited battle here, the way they've been able to side draft and run all over each other.
Yeah, I kind of think there might be more going on there than what we have seen. The 2 is really on the right side of the 61, not giving him any room on entry. So I'm going to guess that there's something that maybe happened earlier in the race that we didn't see.
Maybe need to rewind the tape a little bit, you think?
Maybe so, yeah.
I'm sure Jeremy Clements in that 51 car just behind them there was able to see what all's going on there. It looks like Gralla's going to pull in behind the 2.
Hey, while we watch these guys that are racing right there around 15th, you mentioned Jeremy Clements in the top 20. Good day for them. Ross Chastain made the final round of qualifying. He has stayed in the top 12 right now, 11th. Mentioned Shane Lee earlier in the race. He's inside the top 15. 13th position is where he is. Some really nice efforts out of those guys today.
Certainly correct, Adam. And Ross has been at the top of that list, running in the 11th spot. Fell back outside the top 15 for a while, but has rallied. Great qualifying effort. Always fun to see these guys maximize with the equipment that they have.
He'll be racing here tomorrow as well.
JD Motorsports with Ross. That team just gets better and better every week too, and that's what this Xfinity series is all about. And I think it has a lot to do with just the rules and the way NASCAR works so hard for parity in the Xfinity series, so we can really see the talent behind the wheel like we've seen out of Shane Lee since he showed up.
He has been here in an ARCA car, but never obviously in this configuration. Big challenges for everyone, and maybe what you don't know is a good thing for a guy like Shane Lee. What about driver number 3 this afternoon, Regan?
Well, to make his run even more impressive today, Adam, they completely lost the front splitter off of that race car after the first practice run yesterday, so they lost a lot of practice time. And something I thought was very unique, the crew chief of that car, Nick Harrison, spent time at Hickory Motor Speedway, one of the local short tracks in North Carolina that Shane Lee races at. On his off weekends, he spent time there listening to him and trying to adjust to what Shane would say on the radio and how he would say what the race car was doing. So they were going all out to make sure he had every opportunity he could to run good in these races.
And Regan, his spotter is Andy Houston. He knows a little bit about that Hickory Motor Speedway, so they've done a nice job of putting it all together, as has Chase Elliott. A little bit extra fuel in the tank, and he's charging here late.
Yeah, and they're for sure telling Chase that the guys in front of him might have to save a little fuel. So yeah, he's going to go as hard as he can here and try to put some pressure on the 3 guys in front of him and hope to run those guys out.
Hats off to Chad Norris and everyone at GMS and that 23 team. You win at Talladega. You find out your driver, Spencer Gallagher, who's going for the championship, suspended indefinitely. He's going through the Road to Recovery program. You go to Dover, put Johnny Sauter in the vehicle, finishes top 10. Chase had speed last weekend at Charlotte, again here at Pocono. They've taken a tough situation, made the best of it. So much success in the early days in the Camping World Truck Series, winning that championship a couple of years ago. Good to see them moving forward.
Yeah, Maury Gallagher, the owner of that team, has just done so much for the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series with his participation here, and it's good to see good things happen to good people, and Maury is certainly that. And this car has the speed. Last time by, Adam, he was the fastest car on the track, so this could get interesting as we race toward the checkered.
Kyle Busch says absolutely not. I don't want to see a 6 caution. Chase Elliott said, let me pass a couple of more, put the yellow flag in the air, and I'm going to make it happen. Here's Hemrick for second. Down to the inside of Cole Custer. I think he's got the spot. Yep, all clear off of 2, and Chase Elliott there as well in the 23.
Good battle.
That's fun to watch those guys chase each other all the way to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to use the side draft.
And you know the significance of that. You want to get away from somebody as quickly
absolutely.
as you can.
Well, like the 0-0, there's nothing worse to get passed by 2 cars in one corner, so he's going to fight for everything he has there.
Cindric back in the mix. He's 5th right now.
Put Hemrick up to 2nd. He will be the next guy in line to try to run down Kyle Busch. He can see him out there. He's already driven away nicely from this battle for 3rd.
I thought when Chase went underneath, going underneath Cole there to the tunnel turn, he was going to make the pass. Cole didn't back out of it, and the outside lane prevailed there.
Well, and it's amazing how when the cars get side by side, like you see Daniel Hemrick's 20 car lengths ahead, and the 12 car Cindric was quite a bit behind. He sucked right up to those guys. So when you get side by side, it's extremely slow.
Now he's there.
Yeah, he's going to want that 12 to help him, but who knows what the 12 is going to, so that's good.
Well, he didn't have much. I mean, I think Chase did everything to block him that he could, and maybe tied Cindric's hands as they raced down that Long Pond straightaway.
I think Cindric's got the right mentality. It's similar to Daytona and Talladega, where you just get to the guy and help him, and it benefited Cindric as well. So I think that's the right attitude, and instead of trying to make it 3 wide and everyone going into the tunnel turn and not knowing exactly what the outcome will be.
All that traffic has pushed Chase Elliott more than 4 seconds behind Kyle Busch. He did have it down to 3.2, something like that, before he started racing for position with those guys. Down to 12 laps to go.
It's B.J. McLeod in the 78 car and does a really nice job of rolling up and getting out of Chase Elliott and those guys' way. Chase, with the draft off of Hemrick, should be able to close down on Hemrick.
You know, we heard Kyle Busch's crew chief say that he was going to slow him down with like 20 to go, but that is not the case right now.
Have you noticed that, Jay?
Yeah, he really hasn't slowed down much here.
You know, so much made of his victory last weekend in the Coke 600, his first points-paying event at Charlotte Motor Speedway. So he's now won at all 23 venues on a Monster Energy Series schedule. How about this, though? There are 15 tracks where we go to in Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. He's won at all 3 series at 14 of the 15 tracks. The only one where he has not, here at Pocono, all he needs to do is win today, and he will add that to his resume. This guy has accomplished so much and still a young one. He's got a lot of ground in front of him.
Another young one behind him, Daniel Hemrick's just scratching and clawing to try to get that first big win. Isn't that interesting, the different ends of the spectrum these two live on? We know there's a lot of victories ahead for Kyle Busch, and we think the same is the case for Daniel Hemrick. He just wants to get that first one knocked off the list.
He's hanging tough. You saw the differential there as far as margin behind Kyle Busch. It's under 3 seconds, so he's gaining a little bit of ground as we come up on 10 laps to go.
Guarantee he's driving as hard as he can right now, too. He knows that whether he runs out of gas or not, he just wants to win a race, and putting a little pressure on Kyle maybe makes him step on that gas pedal harder and burn more fuel.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting when we get to the end to see who's figured their fuel mileage right, who's saved a little bit of gas, if that's possible. I feel like that 21 car, we heard their last radio that they were like, we're just going to go for it, and we think we have enough.
Most everyone pitted at lap 52 or after, but here's who we really need to keep an eye on as we go under 10 laps to go, and that's Brandon Jones, because he last pitted at lap 47. If anyone runs out, likely he will be the first, and all those other drivers 5 laps to the good over the 19. That should give us a little bit of a baseline on where everyone stands as far as making it on fuel, and don't rule out. We get some debris late, someone gets a little bit of aggressive, we get a caution, we could have overtime. That would really upset the apple cart when you talk about their strategies.
Well, that's going to be a good gauge for the 18 car as well, because it's the same, same organization, same engine. They kind of know the fuel mileage that they got in practice, and if Brandon doesn't run out to the last lap, then you would think they're going to be safe.
There's that 21 car of Hemrick, just over 3 seconds behind Kyle Busch.
You're basically matching lap times right now.
Hey, let's drop back to 8th. John Hunter Nemechek in 42. I mentioned during practice yesterday that Chip Ganassi Racing able to win this race a couple of seasons ago. Rain shortened with your teammate Kyle Larson, and the 3 of you sharing time there this season, and you gotta love what he's been able to do, short on experience with these cars, but doing so many positive things.
Yeah, their strategy, the cautions did not fall right for the strategy that they were on, and it got him a little bit behind, but he's done a really good job of staying out of trouble and making passes, and he's going to finish somewhere between 6th to 10th right now, depending on if we get a caution or what happens. But he's done such a good job, and he's 20 years old. I have got to spend a lot of time with him at the shop in the wintertime. Maybe it's if you're working out or just pit stop practice. He's done a great job, and I really hope that he's able to run full time in this series next year.
And he's like you, a workout guy. See him on the bike quite often.
What do you call it?
Extreme athlete. That's
Extreme athlete, yeah.
Oh boy, that makes it sound
over 41.
That's me.
What do you say, Regan?
Well, hey, just to follow up on what you guys were saying about John Hunter Nemechek, crew chief Mike Shiplett told me earlier today, and this is not to take anything away from the other drivers, one of which is in the booth with you that he's worked with before, but he told me that John Hunter Nemechek, of all the drivers he's been with, puts forth more effort than any of them. He said it is incredible how hard this kid works and how bad he really wants it.
But we've seen it everywhere, even when we were out on the West Coast, whether you were driving a 42 or Kyle, John Hunter was at the track, had a headset on, listening in, trying to get better.
Yeah, and I mean, this is his 100% his focus, right? Like this is, he runs his truck a little bit, but this is his primary car that he drives. It's a little bit different for Kyle and I because, you know, our primary car is the Cup car, obviously, on Sunday, and we get to run some Xfinity races, but he does. He puts in a lot of time, and I know I've said it a few times, but not everyone puts that time in away from the track. Some guys think they do, but not everybody does. But John Hunter is one of those guys that's putting it in.
And Regan mentioned crew chief Mike Shiplett was a racer himself in the Midwest before migrating to the Carolinas, becoming a crew chief, doing an outstanding job running that 42 team, and has had a lot of success. Won with a couple of different drivers last year, and already a win with Kyle Larson in 2018. So Kyle Busch is coming back, going to see 6 laps to go. His advantage almost 4 seconds, just over 3.5 over second place Daniel Hemrick, Chase Elliott, Austin Cindric, Cole Custer the top 5. Paul Menard has had a fast race car, won stage 2, he's 6th. Elliott Sadler, a host of problems, spent a lot of time on pit road, but the championship leader doing what he does, find his way to the top 10. We mentioned Nemechek. Ryan Truex is 9th, trying to go back-to-back in the top 10 category. And the rookie Tyler Reddick is 10th right now.
Just an update, Adam, from the first couple of positions, including Hemrick and Chase Elliott, as we see here. No pace back off at all. These guys are still running some incredibly fast lap times for this late in the run. So must be pretty confident that they can make it all the way to the checkered.
Well, it says to me, too, not a lot of fall off on these tires. Maybe make a mental note for tomorrow as you guys get ready for 400 miles in the Cup car.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a lot different tomorrow because the speeds are so much different. The downforce is so much less. But I'm with you. Like, there's been no one's saving gas right now. Everyone's driving as hard as they can.
Looking back from Paul Menard's car, that's Elliott Sadler in the 1. Sent to pit road to repair a loose oil tank.
Jamie's still with us in the booth. Is that one of your friends there?
I'll tell you, that's one of the crew guys from Gibbs. I think that's Levi. He looks like he's got plenty of drink and plenty of water in his jersey.
It's going to be a tough ride here at Pocono Mountain.
It is. There's some hills around here for sure.
You do Mount Mitchell this year?
I did. Yep. I don't want to talk about it, but I did it. Yep.
Okay.
Elliott Sadler. We looked out at Menard's camera a bit ago, and Elliott was 10, 15 car lengths back. He's driven right up to the back of Paul. I think you see there that strategy of maybe backing up the entry of the corner just so you can try to wind up and get a good run on these long
run off.
50 race winless streak for Elliott Sadler. One of the longest of his career. Been a runner-up in a championship on 4 different occasions.
And just when he gets there, he has to back off early and give up the entry.
Yeah, I heard the guys say the same thing when they ran this at Indy. That he got turned down underneath him, got to the throttle a little quicker, so he'll probably complete this pass here.
That was textbook, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was good.
Talked about how he might draft on the straightaway, used that to perfection.
Sadler on the wheel lane. Gets the spot. Here comes Nemechek with him, going around Paul Menard.
All clear.
2 Chevys ganging up on a Ford there across the tunnel turn. Things tightening up for second as well. Kyle Busch just over 3 seconds in front of Daniel Hemrick. You're on board here, and that's Chase Elliott lurking with 3 remaining.
Lurking. That's what these two are doing to Kyle Busch, just hoping maybe there's a sputter under the hood of that Toyota.
And you know that Chase Elliott's crew chief Chad is telling him, hey, we have 2 more laps of gas, and this could be for the win right here if Kyle runs out.
And Hemrick is aware of it too. You can see that blocking and trying to break away. And Chase Elliott has done a nice job of driving up through the field and is faster than Hemrick now. It'll be interesting to see if Daniel can use all of his skills to hold him off.
For Hemrick, this would be his best career finish on an oval. Had a runner-up at Mid-Ohio, but never able to finish second or better. When you talk about an oval configuration, could be in position to do it here today.
I heard him, yeah. Got out of the throttle just a little bit. I think Chase is probably getting underneath him right here into 1.
2 laps to go, 5 miles to make it home. Brandon Jones last pitted at lap 47. He's still out there, so all those guys that pitted at lap 52 and beyond should be just fine to make it on fuel, unless something should happen here and get us into overtime. Here we go once again for the second spot. Chase Elliott, Daniel Hemrick.
There you go. Keep blocking. Keep blocking here. Inside corner.
Too late.
Elliott P2, and we just got a report Brandon Jones of the 19 has run out of gas.
Can he cross over? Not quite.
Man, wasn't able to do it.
Great job by Chase Elliott hanging onto that car.
I think he got really loose on the exit of the tunnel.
There's Jones making his pit stop. Here comes Kyle Busch off of turn 3. He's going to see the white flag. One lap to go.
The gas, Kyle.
Good luck.
Hope it's an uneventful last lap for you.
But he pitted 5 laps earlier. He shouldn't be concerned, right?
I mean, you're always concerned.
You're always concerned. They probably haven't told him any of what we know right now. But the fact that none of those guys slowed down, I mean, it makes me think that those crew chiefs all lied to us.
You think maybe that they were trying to fool the competition by telling us something that maybe might not have been 100% true?
I don't think we got the whole story.
So we gave him the speeding penalty, and somehow he comes back. He leads 65 laps and dominates the race today at Pocono. For Kyle Busch, it's career win number 92 in the Xfinity Series. First time he's done it here in the Poconos. Checkered flag in the air. Once again, it's driver 18 who wins it.
Eric Phillips has done some amazing things, hasn't he? On the top of a pit box as the crew chief. Kyle Busch driving to victory lane.
You are the man, KB.
Second win for that team this year.
Boys. Thank you for this week.
5 different drivers behind the wheel, and the other winner was Ryan Preece at Bristol a couple of months ago.
You got to feel good for Kyle, because it's been almost 5 or 6 days since he won his last race. So,
well, and he mentioned, sorry about last week, made a mistake.
Yeah, that's right.
A rare mistake from Kyle Busch at the Xfinity race last week at Charlotte, and was able to rebound from that and go to victory lane. Also a tip of the cap to our crew chief, Larry McReynolds. At the top of the show, he said, it's going to be all about strategy. And certainly we saw strategy all over the board during this race.
Don't normally talk about winless streaks with Kyle Busch in the Xfinity Series. This does end his longest winless streak since the summer of 2014.
And I think this checks another box, doesn't it, for Kyle Busch?
This is now the 26th track where he's won in the Xfinity Series. And when you look at those 15 venues where we race Truck, Xfinity, and Cup, he's now won in all 3 series at each one of those racetracks. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
And he's gotten really good over the years at burnouts. That one just almost nicked the outside wall.
That was pretty good there.
You know, he had never won here in a Cup car prior to last July. And when you look at his success at the top level of NASCAR, a lot of those tracks that he's crossed off recently, he's done so, of course, with crew chief Adam Stevens. He appears to have truly hit the sweet spot in his career.
Yeah, and based on happy hour today in the Cup cars, shocking, he is one of the best cars on the long run for tomorrow too. So he and the 4 car have just had unbelievable seasons. The 78's had a really good year, but those man, those 2 guys have been so fast all year long.
Said there's 15 active tracks where we run in all 3 series. There's 17 tracks where Kyle has won in all 3. Some we don't continue to go through in trucks and Xfinity. So it, you know, the numbers, they just go on and on.
What do you think he does with these flags?
I'd say there's a nice trophy room somewhere up around Lake Norman in North Carolina where he and his wife Samantha and son Brexton enjoy reminiscing about some of the success he's had. Nothing better than sharing victory moments like this with your family.
Where'd the bow come from? Do you have any idea?
No. Do you?
Do you think the stat guy over here knows where the bow came from?
Possibly. They know everything else.
He shook his head yes. We're going to find out.
It's all over at Pocono. No major surprise. Despite the fact that he got that speeding penalty, Kyle Busch had the fastest car, and he is a winner here this afternoon.
Welcome back to Pocono, and race fans, you're in for a treat. We've got extended post-race coverage, and if you're a Kyle Busch fan, you're in for even more of a treat because he has won for the 92nd time here in the Xfinity Series. And before this race started, I said to Larry McReynolds that this was the only active oval that Joe Gibbs Racing had never won on. Mr. Smarty Pants said, well, we've only been here twice. Well, now we've only been here 3 times, and Kyle Busch got it done. Let's go down to Victory Lane and Regan Smith.
Well, Kyle Busch climbs from the car victorious yet again in the Xfinity Series at Pocono, this time for the first time at Pocono. Kyle, you told us yesterday, we're going to grab a little extra drink here. You told me yesterday, Kyle, that this race meant a lot to you. You had it marked on the schedule early on. You wanted to win in the Xfinity car at Pocono. You've accomplished that.
Yeah, it feels good for as good as our car was, and I tried to screw it up early again this week, but my guys are amazing. Joe Gibbs Racing, everybody back at the Xfinity shop. You guys do a phenomenal job. All the guys in the chassis shop, the body shop. This car was on rails this week, you know, and it was last week too, but was just able to overcome our deficit that we had this weekend and get back to the front. So want to say thanks to Comcast, NBC Universal for the Salute to Troops service program that they have. Men and women they help support that have come out of military and give them jobs, both them and their spouses. So that's really a special program. Toyota's also involved in that program. So if you want to learn more, check out the website. It's certainly a lot of fun to race with meaning and cause, and so dedicate this win to the men and women that are fighting for our country, both now and past. So it's been a lot of fun racing in the Xfinity Series, and this is pretty cool to check off the list. And win here at Pocono feels really, really good. Thanks to NOS Energy Drink for supporting us. This Toyota Camry was fast, and I want to say thanks to Xfinity and of course the fans. It's everything that it takes for us to be able to get to the racetrack these days, and the fans are amazing for our sport, and we appreciate that.
You alluded to the speeding penalty early on in the race and that you almost threw it away. Were you ever concerned when you got back in the pack about somebody running into you or something like that happen, or was it smooth sailing coming back up through?
No, absolutely. You're always just kind of worried about something crazy or unpredictable situations happening. And we just kind of had to bide our time and be patient a little bit, try to make moves when we can make moves, but there were some moments there where it was like, throw this corner away, forget about it, let's race down the next straightaway and see what we can get in the next corner. So, all in all, though, we knew we had speed in our race car, and it was really fast out front, and once we got to the top 5, top 6 cars.
An amazing 92 career Xfinity wins for Kyle Busch. Matt?
Chase Elliott nearly walked away with the win, finishing second, his best finish since his win at Daytona back in 2016. Right strategy, just needed a little bit more track position earlier on in this run to pay off?
Yeah, well, Kyle was really fast at the beginning through about halfway of the run, and then I thought about halfway through I was equal to him. And if I was right behind him, I could draft and stay close, and I thought that was going to be good if I could ever got there or been able to been a little further up on that restart. But it was fun, had a good day. Wish we could have had that last spot. We came in to top off, and we wanted to be on the good side of fuel, and was hoping these guys would push it a little too close. But appreciate everybody at GMS again, and for letting me drive their car, Allegiant Travel, Hooters, Chevrolet, all the folks that make this happen, the Hendrick Engine Department. Still somewhat a Hendrick car, so with the engine at least. So it was a lot of fun, and looking forward to the next one.
What was your takeaway from this race today, from start to finish? So much learning was going into the weekend with this package here.
Yeah, it was definitely different for sure. I'm not sure that it's the perfect fit for it, but a different feel. Much, the pace is slower than the Cup side, but it's just a different feel. That has similar tendencies. Your pace is slower, which it's slower in these cars anyway. So I think it still needs some tweaking, but it was definitely different. So A for effort, I guess.
Thanks. P2 for Chase Elliott today in Pocono.
Yeah, congratulations to Kyle Busch and Chase Elliott for those 1-2 finish. But what about the guy who finished third place, Daniel Hemrick? You can see he's joined us in the Hollywood Hotel. We'll talk to him next. We're going till 4 o'clock, race fans, so stick around.